Hi there everyone, Lars here from Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. Now, I've been sitting on a theory for a while now. A theory about what's going to happen to Noelle Holiday, as well as how Toby Fox is going to reconcile all of the different endings that are created from chapter to chapter throughout Deltarune. Because despite what Susie and presumably Gaster have told us, our choices do matter within the world of Deltarune. And we can see that from the very small instances, such as getting an egg from the strange man and depositing it somewhere in hometown, to what kinds of people we befriend along the way, all the way to something massive and disturbing like the Snowgrave route. It's obvious that our choices do indeed matter, and that they cause ripple effects throughout the chapters. But this seems incongruent with what we've been told by Toby himself, that there will be one ending to the game. How can that be so, especially again with something as massive as the Snowgrave route? We see, I think that there's going to be one moment that despite whatever it is that we do, whether we are good and try to become friends with everyone, or that we promote genocidal hostility within characters like Noelle, that no matter what, one moment is going to bring everything together and steer us towards the dark moment where Angel's Heaven arrives. And believe it or not, the clues have been left to us in Chapter 2, all revolving around a Ferris wheel. Yep, in short, I believe that Noelle is going to have her heart broken by Susie at the town fair. Obviously, this is an incredibly bold claim to make, so let me explain why I believe that this is going to happen and why this is going to be the moment of reconciliation where all the different timelines that we could go down all come together to one point. So let's start breaking it down. We've already been getting loads of hints in Chapter 2 that we're going to have this fair coming on into town. It's going to be this great moment where everyone is going to come together, and fairs, well, they are the perfect opportunity in a small rural community to spend time with the person that you really like. And Noelle very obviously has a huge crush on Susie. And as we see her in either scenario, whether through the pacifist route or through the Snowgrave route, we see Noelle gaining a kind of confidence, the strength that she's been looking for, and that she is getting into a position where she can finally fully confess her feelings to her crush. But it's not only that. For Noelle, there are plenty of other elements that will push her to confessing. Because, well, Rudy is obviously not doing too well. Her father continues to be in the hospital. He says that there's going to be more and more tests, and we are left into doubt whether he will be able to leave in time for the festival. Will he get sick? Could he possibly die? We don't really know, but that's a lot of stress, a lot of emotional stress on Noelle. For someone who's already lost Des, who was so close to her, she can't lose her father as well, because her mother is entirely absent in all of this. Mayor Holiday is shut off in her office. We haven't even seen her yet, and everyone just talks about how she's doing so much and how she's so aloof and yada yada yada, and so we just don't really see her there. Noelle is, for the most part, very much alone. And even though she's the most popular girl in class and seems like she's friends with everyone, when we look closer at her relationship with Birdley, it's very clear that it's built on a lie and on a facade. And as we are told by Toby Fox, this is a game all about becoming friends with everyone. Well, obviously Chris and Susie are trying to become friends with everyone. Susie, as arguably the main protagonist of the entire game, is the one who is being redeemed from bully to friend, and then trying to repair relationships with the others in her class, coming to realize that, you know what, they actually are good people, and there are ways of overcoming their differences. It's going to be a long, hard-fought journey, which is why it's going to take 7 chapters to reach that resolution, but it can be done. For Chris, as much as we are controlling them and messing around within their lives, this is an opportunity for Chris to also overcome misconceptions, prejudice, bad memories, and everything in order to repair the broken relationships that they have with their classmates. But then when we look at Noelle, who is being offered up as a new main character, not quite in the same spotlight as Susie and Chris are, obviously, but definitely one of the strongest supporting characters, if not someone who will become a main character down the road, Noelle does not have positive relationships with her classmates either. And that's going to be something that's probably going to be dragged into the limelight with Chapter 4 of Deltarune. And it's important to emphasize that because this really does depict just how alone Noelle is. So, at the fair for Hometown, when this is a moment where you can spend time with your crush, as we were already kind of given a hint of that by Susie at the end of Chapter 2, oh boy! Noelle's already had a dream where she got to spend time with Susie on the Ferris wheel and bear out her soul. She's gotten stronger, she's more confident, she can do this again. And so Noelle, whether she's been going down the Snowgrave route or down the pacifist route, she is ready at last to bare her heart to the girl that she loves. And Susie is going to turn her down. This doesn't mean that Susie doesn't want to be friends with Noelle. Absolutely not the case. Because as we see, Susie does care for Noelle. She sees her as a wonderful person, as the first person who was kind to her. And she obviously cherishes their now budding relationship by the end of Chapter 2. But here's the thing. Susie, as we see in Chapters 1 and 2, when it comes to romance being flung her way, well, she is absolutely obtuse. She is as thick as your typical bland anime protagonist, though thankfully Susie has far more depth than one of those. However, Susie doesn't quite understand romance. For crying out loud, she's just getting the hang of friendship. And yet, me saying that, there are obvious clues throughout the 2 chapters thus far that Susie is developing actual romantic feelings for someone, and it is Chris. I've already outlined in several other videos all of the different clues that are pointing to a cruisy ending, and as was just dropped by a friend of mine, leaving me even more evidence of Susie kind of liking Chris a little bit more than just as a friend. I mean, just look at this screenshot that's presumably going to come at the end of Chapter 3 of Deltarune, where Susie and Chris are in the diner, and the face that Susie is making. Let us remember something that Birdley said in Chapter 2, that Susie is a tsundere, and that is very much the case. I've already pointed that out in another video as well. And a tsundere character is someone who is going to try to mask their feelings of affection towards someone else by being more brash, being a little bit more loud, a little more standoffish, giving some good jabs, being all jokey, but really secretly down deep hoping for an opportunity to bare their soul. And as we've seen from Susie, her most kind moments, and the moments where her face really speaks volumes of, I really do care for you and I want to spend time with you, come for Chris and Chris alone. The only other time that we get to see that soft expression is when Birdley is hallucinating it. When it comes to Noelle, Susie does care for Noelle. She's someone that Susie wants to be friends with. She's someone that Susie definitely wants to get to know better. And who knows, maybe that could, in time, become romance on Susie's side of things. But right now, the clues are pointing more towards Chris. And so, just a few days after starting up a friendship with Noelle, for Susie then to hear the bold reindeer girl finally saying, Susie, I like you, it's going to catch her off guard. And like so many teens in the moment, they're not going to handle it well. Susie's not going to know what to say. She's going to say something that is going to inadvertently and unfortunately hurt Noelle's feelings. And this will make Noelle feel absolutely isolated, alone, heartbroken, with her father being whatever state he will be at that time, her mother, again, just being absolutely aloof and distant from her, and feeling like she doesn't actually have the real friendships that she wants to have in her life, and then her crush turning her down. What will Noelle do? We've already seen what Noelle is willing to do. Open up her own dark fountain and create a world that is ideal for her. Doing so will cause the imbalance that will begin to shatter the boundaries between the light world and the dark world and bring about Angel's heaven. Let us also remember that Noelle has a very clear connection to the angel. She's the one who made all those little figurines in church and for her father, one of which is in his room at the hospital. She also has that angelic look when she enters into the dark world. That is her alter ego persona when she goes over into that other universe. Noelle is very clearly linked to Angel's heaven. Very likely she's the one who will initiate that. And so no matter what happens, this is actually really great on the part of Toby Fox right here, I'll be honest, because he's going to respect everyone's choices throughout the game and how they begin to affect things. And the thing is this, is that no matter what we do as the player, Noelle was always going to confess her feelings to Susie, and Susie just being where she is in her life at this time, she was always going to be in a position where she would mishandle the situation and unfortunately break Noelle's heart. And in doing so, will send Noelle just cascading down and cause her to do something, unfortunately, very stupid. Open up her own dark fountain and destroy the balance between the light world and the dark world. And in that case, our choices, which do have consequences, very real consequences for the dark world and the light world, will not have mattered because we will not be able to stop this sequence of events. And I think that that is awesome. That is a great way for Toby to, again, give us the illusion of choice, but also respecting our choices, rewarding our choices, but still making sure that his story is railroaded perfectly to deliver the ending that he said would happen no matter what we chose. That is what I think is coming. The only question is, when will the fair happen? It seems from some of the leaked materials that Toby has given us that it's coming sooner rather than later, but I actually think it might come later. That after we've had our time to get to know everyone within the class and start repairing relationships and the likes, that is when the rug will firmly be pulled out from under our feet and throw us into the endgame. So that is my theory for what is going to happen to poor Noelle, how her heart is going to be broken, and how this is going to railroad all options and choices throughout the game to the ending that Toby has designed, what he has dreamt of for this game ever since the beginning. And I want to hear your thoughts about this. Am I totally off basis right here? Will love come to conquer all? Or might we just get to the fair and, you know what, none of that weirdness happens and it's going to be something entirely different that railroads all of our choices to the final confrontation at the end of the game? This is obviously very open to speculation and to consideration and argument, and I want to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Meanwhile, if you enjoyed this video and if you'd like to support the work that I do here, then please make sure that you like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already done so, and if you would especially like to help me out, check out the books that I have published. Links for them are in the description below. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us on this adventure that we call writing, and until the next time, y'all, please pray for our little cinnamon roll reindeer, and tschüss.